Here we are standing in front of Richard Morton Paye's St James's Day, exhibited at the Royal Academy in 1788. When I came in the door with this, though, it didn't look as it does at the moment. What was your first impression?
Somebody had been trying to restore it, trying to clean it, and they'd got halfway through cleaning it, given up, and then halfway through repainting a lot of it with a large brush, and it was making a fool of themselves doing it. The level of interference in the past was completely astonishing. It didn't have this coherence that it certainly does now, and I think it certainly works. There's a pool of light in front of this theatre backdrop like this.
I think theatre is the word,
yes.
Because this is constructed like a stage under a proscenium arch,
yes.
with all the lighting to go with it.
Yes.
You know, these are your principals, and so they've got the key lights. As you fade off into the background with your supporting cast, and here is Paye himself having his pocket picked by this gentleman.
That is a brave piece of composition. This fellow here, it looks like the founder of the National Gallery. It looks like John Julius Angerstein. But he's been accosted by a rowdy mob over here as well, isn't he?
He is being embarrassed in public.
Yes,
He's been humiliated.
Yes, well, he is the centre of the society at that moment. Going right down to the other side of the composition, you've got what we found on the collar of the dog, who is chewing somebody's chicken here, with the name of Critic emblazoned on his collar. And Léonie, who actually did a lot of the restoration on this, will talk you through some of the parts that show how good he is as a painter. And certainly these two figures together, and this boy's head and hair, it's absolutely glorious. Here we are on St James's Day doing what they did on there, eating oysters.
Well, yeah, it was the 5th of August, a massive festival at the time. The kids would collect the shells that were broken and discarded and build grottos at the corner of every street in the West End. And they would put up a little sign that said, "Remember the grotto." So you'd have to flick them a farthing or whatever as you went by.
Splendid. What a lovely story.
This isn't just an important artist, it's an important scene, a bit of social history.
I've come to love it, and it's one of the pictures that I've become endeared to in my career. And it has stood out in that long career as being one of the most interesting pictures from an artist that I didn't know as well. And it shows huge quality. This is something that I could quite easily see in a British museum.
I don't know who the previous restorer was, I don't know if they were properly trained, but there was clearly a lot of old overpaint still on there. And then whoever had started, they hadn't done much structural work to it, but they'd just started to overpaint, but quite crudely and quite indiscriminately. So with this painting, with this quality of artwork, it's a crime to cover up some of the fabrics, some of the original brush strokes.
I always think that restorers should have to take their own equivalent of the Hippocratic Oath. Because isn't it just the same as being a surgeon? You know, the first thing is do no harm.
We do rigorous testing to ensure that we don't go too far. And we can very carefully select cleaning methods that just remove the overpaint.
What are your feelings about the painting compared to that first time you saw it?
I have really enjoyed working on this painting and getting to know an artist that I didn't know anything about, because he's actually a brilliant artist. His technique is very clever. He's really good at capturing expression and liveliness, and it's one of those paintings that your eye just takes a walk around the scene and you almost see new things every time you look at it. There's a sort of tale, a moral tale, with everyone drinking and the dog's been allowed to pinch the chicken from the basket.
Well, this is why I think Richard Morton Paye was sort of a missing link between Hogarth in the early part of that century and the artists that would soon follow. David Wilkie and William Powell Frith, of course, with his, you know, large slice of life pictures like Derby Day. This is a forerunner of those.
Yes, I think rather nicely reflecting a little more of the mischief of Hogarth. It did remind me again of that sort of wonderful English satirical tradition.
I think you've done a super job on it, Léonie, and I do appreciate all your hard work.